One of the things I really like to do is explore cemeteries. I know it's a little bizarre, but generally there are a lot of squirrels in cemeteries, and the dogs have a ball chasing them. It's very rare they ever get a squirrel in a cemetery. But today we're going to explore Oakwood Cemetery. As you can see behind me, we're going to look at some of the big monuments. There's a whole bunch of large mausoleums, a couple of the big mausoleums throughout the cemetery. And this is a very large cemetery. This is very old. It was built in 1859. I think it opened for the first burials. And I hope you enjoy this. It may be kind of long. If it's too long, I will split it out. Definitely one of the most massive mausoleums in Oakwood Cemetery is the Green Mausoleum, shown here with some of its ornate sculptures. Let's go around to the front. General John A. Greene died around 1866. He made his fortune in the wholesale grocery business, as many of the bigger, richer mausoleums in the cemetery are. This mausoleum is the cemetery's largest and most flamboyant. It was designed by a local architect, Horatio Nelson Dwight, and cost about $25,000. The interior features two tiered marble chapel. Most of the mausoleums from the 1800s or the early 1900s have been sealed because of different vandalism issues. But this is a beautiful mausoleum, either from up above the hill where we just looked at it, or from down below. And this is a large tower. Inside it's a chapel, two-tiered chapel. And this is the look from below on the road coming in. John Whitting died 1880. He was a physician and a popular lecturer on anatomy and physiology, and he traveled the world quite a bit. Built his mausoleum to look like a Buddhist stupa, and it's 80 feet high. It includes a cross on the top, in a little state of disrepair because of the trees that are growing out of it, but it's a pretty unique mausoleum. Let's see if we can get it from the other side. Here it is from the back side. The wind's kicking up. Hopefully the sock takes care of that. The door has been sealed shut due to vandalism, but it's quite a unique mausoleum. And this is on the road coming in to the cemetery. One of the more ornate things, it was a Daniel Phelps wood, a salt baron in Syracuse. And the sun happened to just shine on that for a second, so I figured I'd take it. Very unique carving. Sorry I can't hold this still. Died in 1819 in Pompey, New York, which is about 15 miles south, but was buried here because of the beauty of the cemetery. The Oakwood Cemetery Chapel was designed by a teacher of Frank Lloyd Wright, and it's built of Onondaga limestone, as many of the mausoleums and headstones and monuments are. It is the place where they would have the funerals. Instead of going to the graves, they might not do like we do today. And in the winter, they would store the bodies behind the chapel under this underground area. And these chimneys in the back are ventilation, pretty unique ventilation to keep the smell of rotting bodies, I guess. There seems to be a dog up there. Caesar, I'm down here. But if you look at some of the kind of a whimsical thing is spider webs and spiders on the chimneys. It's very ornate. It's a little bit falling apart. They redid this whole side last year. This was all falling apart and they rebuilt it, and now they need to do the other side before it falls down. It was built in 1879. The cemetery itself was built in 1859, so 20 years later they got this. Oakwood Cemetery was carefully designed and laid out by Howard Daniels, the architect of the rural cemetery. He was quite famous and did a number of what they called rural cemeteries, which were supposed to be park-like. And this is the road into what is called Dedication Valley, and it is the highest prized area of the cemetery. As you come in, you can look up the valleys and the hills, and every hill kind of has its own plots and owners for the hills. This is the Sabi Mausoleum, which is built way into the hill. It's a very pretty mausoleum. But as you come in, the hills block some areas and open up to others. It was kind of very carefully designed. And it was all done by hand. This was not a valley. This didn't look anything like this. This was a flat hill, or a kind of a rolling hill, and they dug this all out by hand. So it's pretty neat. But let's see if we can get to some of the mausoleums that are most spectacular in Dedication Valley. Cornelius Tyler Longstreet. This is his pyramid. He had another mausoleum and it was destroyed, so they built one that they thought would be untouchable by anybody. And because it's on this big hill, it really looks much bigger than it is. But Tyler Longstreet was a clothes merchant. He cornered the market on blue woolen clothing just before the Civil War. He was the patent holder of small, medium, and large clothing. Before that, every piece of clothing was tailored, and he decided that small, medium, and large, and it would fit most people. On the Whitlock Monument, while not anybody's special really, the girl on the monument is supposed to be an angel and originally had wings attached on her back side. However, she has been toppled from her stand many times. Many times she has been replaced on the monument looking in different directions. And you can often see this Whitlock Monument with her looking north, east, south, or west in various postcards and photographs over the years. But that's a 1878 Arthur P. Whitlock and Robert Whitlock. This is the Granger Monument, and we are side of the highway, so I hope this comes out all right for voice, otherwise I'll have to voice over it. But this is a very unique monument in the cemetery. Amos Phelps Granger was a congressman in New York. He was elected to the U.S. House as an opposition candidate, and in '54 he was elected to the new Republican Party. Granger played a notable role in abolitionist movement in Syracuse. This is the monument of General Edwin Vaughs Sumner, died in 1865. He is the Sumner of Fort Sumner in New Mexico, which was built to control Apache and Navajo tribes. He was being transferred from Washington to out west, and he stopped in Syracuse to see his daughter, and he died here. And one of the neat things is that he was a a Civil War general on the Union side, and one of his daughters married a Confederate soldier, and they're buried right here side of him. This is the mausoleum of Captain Austin Myers. He was a canal boat captain, died in 1862. The mausoleum at one time had towering pinnacles on each corner that went up another 15 feet. It was also one of the most prestigious monuments in here because there was a pond down here that has since been filled in and closed up, and he overlooked the pond and kind of owned the whole thing. It's surrounded by bald cypress trees over there, and large oaks and spruces, and it's quite a uniquely wonderful spot to have a monument. But over time it's not as great as it used to be, but he's one of the big ones in the cemetery. Hamilton White is one of our few railroad magnates. He made his fortune in banking and railroads, and he was one of Oakwood's founders. And he has a Greek Revival home that was built in 1848 and still stands in Syracuse on Fayetteville Park. The Celtic crosses marking the family graves and a hitching post signify that a reminder of the cemetery's start in the days of horse-drawn carriages. People would come up here and hitch up their horses, and this is pretty neat. It's got a pretty nice walkway up here. I think we'll go this way, and I think we'll just walk right up here. What the heck? And this is the entryway to Burr Burton's home. And this is one of the most unique and expensive mausoleums in the cemetery. It's absolutely huge on the outside. It's got some vegetation growing on it that really needs to be pulled off. But you go into this mausoleum and you go downstairs and you go underneath the mausoleum, and it really is all underneath in this hill. And there are windows and carvings all over the mausoleum. Burr Burton died in 1866. He was one of the leading salt barons for Syracuse. He was shot on the morning of May 3rd when he and his wife were awakened by breaking glass and somebody breaking into their house. And they reportedly, he was shot in the lung and died 3 days later. The big thing about him is that the two men they caught and hanged said they were innocent and knew nothing about it. And 2 years later, they caught another fellow in Buffalo for another murder who swore he didn't do that other murder, but he said he had murdered Burr Burton. So that's what he's mostly known for. John Krause and his brother James were grocery merchants around Syracuse, and they were known to be Syracuse's wealthiest men at the time of their deaths. This mausoleum was designed by HQ French and Company, and it's just recently been cleaned up. It was covered in ivy and vines, and it is a very nice job of restoration. The front has great big bronze doors that still operate because they're lockable and everything. They got a chain on them, and the front walk is a single piece of granite. It's a massive slab, and the story is that they put that slab in there when they first built it, and it cracked, and John Krause said it was not satisfactory and they would have to take it back and give it a new one, which they did. I don't know where that came from, but it's a mighty big slab. In 1988, an art student was caught boiling a skull in his dorm room, and it was determined to have been taken from John Krause's mausoleum. So several other crypts had been broken into, and another skull was found outside in a bag. The student swore he just found the bag in the cemetery. Not sure I would believe that. This is the back side of the John Krause mausoleum. It's got a nice round portico in there that is kind of a chapel. Pretty neat. The Gear family plot has this magnificent set of stairs, and as I said earlier, this cemetery was designed to be a park for people to come and visit. Robert Gear, the main person here, was a salt manufacturing baron. He worked on the Erie Canal. He helped build the parts of the Onondaga County Library, and he has all his family all around him. This is the Foreman Leavenworth Mausoleum. You can walk around inside and see what's in there, but it's very ornate, very big. Ornate column tops with faces and berries and pineapples and all sorts of things. On the back side it says Alexander. I don't know why the Alexander is on there. I think that might be the in-laws or something. And on this side it says Mather. Some marble columns added for decoration. It's got some water spouts up at the top. You can see those with the sun the way it is. Those are water spouts. This is James Krause, brother of John Krause, with the big monument, or the big mausoleum. It's seeing some damage and wear with age. There's Foreman back there, and all the little Krauses around, surrounded by family. And there's White over there, and over there is Yates, and over there is the pyramid, and over there is Myers. And that is, there's White's. Mary Welch died March 31st, 1916. Again, kind of an ornate thing. Would you want to have that? If you had enough money, would you want to do that? Mr. Gifford, with his large cross mausoleum monument, he bought the solar salt patent process. He had 20 acres of salt vats along the Erie Canal and built 50 homes along the canal for his workers. He was vice president of the Syracuse Savings Bank. Used to be a very large savings bank. Most of the Giffords were relocated here from Rose Hill Cemetery. Rose Hill Cemetery was the original Syracuse cemetery. And it got overcrowded, and it was in the middle of town, and they moved it out here. This was 2 miles outside of town, so they brought a lot of people out here. A lot of people were relocated out here. Well, I hope you enjoyed the little romp around the cemetery. I may do some more of this. This is one part of this cemetery. There's 160 acres. Originally it was 92, and it has expanded. So I love the cemetery. It's a wonderful place to bring the dogs and have them chase squirrels. So maybe we'll come back. Give me some comments, thumbs up if you like it, and let me know if you want me to do more. It's a beautiful cemetery. Very versatile amounts of vegetation, trees and shrubs, and wonderful landscaping. So give me a thumbs up and remember to subscribe.